Imagine yourself 5 years ago, pulling in your first real entry-level salary, say $2,000 a month. Now jump to today. You're earning $4,000. Your income has completely doubled. But somehow, you reach the final week of the month, check your bank accounts, and you are completely tapped out. Your bills are heavier, your expenses are higher, and you have almost nothing left over. What actually happened here? You didn't become poorer over the last half-decade. You simply became dangerously efficient at spending more money. This is a creeping phenomenon known as lifestyle inflation. As your paychecks get bigger, your brain silently recalibrates. The simple apartment or the reliable car that used to thrill you suddenly starts feeling completely unacceptable or even cheap. So you upgrade the phone. Then you finance a better car. You move to a nicer apartment, order at more expensive restaurants, and you book pricier vacations to match your new status. We focus on the top-line number of a salary, but wealth is built from the residue, the capital that remains in your control after every bill and impulse buy is accounted for. Unchecked salary increases don't buy you financial freedom. Without a system, a bigger paycheck upgrades you to a much more expensive set of problems. There is a biological engine driving this endless cycle of spending, and psychologists call it hedonic adaptation. It's the human brain's natural tendency to rapidly normalize new rewards. Think about your first major luxury purchase. At first, it felt incredible. You noticed it every single day. But give it a few months, and that intense thrill inevitably fades until the item feels completely ordinary. Because of how we adapt, your brain forces you to constantly chase the next version of normal. You are no longer buying things for lasting satisfaction. You are buying them just to maintain a baseline feeling of success. This creates a massive structural vulnerability. When your baseline definition of normal requires your absolute highest possible income to maintain, you don't own your lifestyle. Your lifestyle owns you. And a single unexpected job loss means losing the entire life you've built around that paycheck. Take a look at this chart. We have two professionals, Alex and Daniel. They both start with an identical baseline income of $5,000 a month. Then they both receive a raise of exactly $1,000. Watch Alex's immediate reaction. He instantly scales his lifestyle to match the new income. He finances a better car and signs a lease on a nicer apartment, stretching his monthly expenses until they lock perfectly at that $6,000 ceiling. On the outside, Alex appears wealthier, but mathematically, he operates with zero financial margin for error. If an emergency hits, he has absolutely no buffer to absorb the impact. Now track Daniel's path. He makes the radical choice to maintain his exact previous living standards. He keeps his expenses perfectly flat at the old $5,000 level, intentionally creating a massive gap below his new income ceiling. Daniel doesn't view this excess $1,000 as consumption money. He treats it as deployable capital. He channels it directly into savings, investments, and acquiring new skills, allowing that capital to aggressively compound over time. Let's jump forward 5 years to see the realities forged by these two identical starting points. Alex maintains a superficially high standard of living, but it is entirely held together by his next paycheck. He carries massive underlying psychological and financial stress because he has to keep working just to keep the lights on. Daniel, meanwhile, doesn't look dramatically different on the surface, but underneath, he has built immense financial flexibility, a deep well of savings, and true survival options. Your income only dictates your potential to build wealth. Your daily behavioral decisions determine whether you actually capture it. Escaping this trap doesn't require living like a monk, and you absolutely do not have to feel guilty every time you buy something you enjoy. This graph illustrates the necessary gap for building wealth. Your income must climb on a steeper trajectory than your spending. As that wedge of space expands over time, your financial resilience grows along with it. The practical application is simple. If you secure a raise, you can dedicate 20% of it to enjoying your current lifestyle. But the vast majority, the remaining 80%, must be systematically redirected into building your future financial capacity. You can synthesize this entire framework down to a single guiding question to ask off of every major upgrade. Will this purchase increase my personal freedom, or will it just increase my monthly obligations? Building real wealth is often a visually boring process. It looks like driving a 5-year-old car when you could afford a new one, or holding on to an outdated phone for another 12 months. But the true power of these boring choices is entirely invisible. It is the leverage to walk away from a toxic job without hesitation. It's the ability to take a necessary mental health break, or to handle a sudden family emergency without blind panic. The ultimate objective of earning money isn't to look impressive to your peers. The goal is to reach a mathematical threshold where money ceases to control your daily decisions. When you finally begin using your salary to purchase autonomy rather than luxury, the cycle breaks. You stop processing paychecks and actually get richer.